Hey folks, in the build up to the release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, the marketing and trailers and gameplay sessions heavily focused on the addition of the new Sky Islands to this world. And fair enough, as they are bloody stunning to explore and really intriguing. If you followed my videos during the height of Breath of the Wild content, you'll know that I love talking about Zelda mysteries found throughout the world. And guess what? That's what we're doing today. Throughout exploring these breathtaking islands, I've noticed a few intriguing things that don't have explicit answers. Mysteries of the Sky Islands, if you will. Like, what were these for? I'm sure you've been curious too, right? Or do these islands hold any connections to other floating islands we've seen in past games? Today, we're going to look into these questions, mysteries, and more. This video will not contain any major story spoilers, but it will contain a bunch of general game content, focused on the Sky Islands. Be sure to go and grab yourself a snack or drink and send them in to get featured right here. And let's get into some Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Sky Island mysteries. Starting off with a pretty big mystery, but also a question a lot of us are wondering. Do these Sky Islands share a connection to past floating islands? Specifically, is there a connection to Skyloft and the surrounding islands we saw in The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword? Chronologically, in the Zelda timeline, Skyward Sword is the very first game. In this game, we kick off our adventure on the floating island Skyloft. The explorable sky in this game has a few more islands, mostly small and not as memorable ones, but there are a few good ones in my opinion. The reason this question and mystery of origins has been brought up so much is likely because the fact Skyward Sword comes first chronologically, and Tears of the Kingdom gives us a look at the land before Hyrule itself was founded, so there's a little bit of crossover in time frames, before a castle was ever built. Similar to the time frame of Skyward Sword, you could assume is at the end of that game, Hyrule had not yet been founded, nor had a castle been built. The Sky Islands seen in Tears of the Kingdom date back to the ancient era before founding. We even learned that the reason they were sent to the sky to become islands is because it was said that a hero would one day awaken at this site. The islands exist as islands to ensure that hero is protected from the evils of the land upon waking up. What I am wondering is if what we saw in Skyward Sword could actually be one of the same as these islands. Obviously the looks have changed massively, but the base island? Could it be up here without us actually knowing? Well, I tried comparing island shapes, sizes, and even where they line up with the surface, and the results were mixed. To have an island big enough, we're looking at the Great Sky Island, and when you compare their rough sizes and shapes, they are similar. The main thing to consider here is that Skyloft had a goddess statue before it dipped to the surface. I'll allow some leeway here for locations not lining up exactly, as that is just a common theme with Zelda games. They both have a goddess statue at the top if you're looking from this view top down. You can see that Skyloft has a big body of water on the right hand side, and the Great Sky Island does on the left. The scale varies a bit on each, but that could be from other Sky Island pieces combining, perhaps. If you were to flip the map, they'd line up even more roughly, but there are just too many small points that don't match to make a solid connection in my opinion. The rough shape is there, and two defining features in the goddess statues and large bodies of water also roughly share similarities, but these results aren't solid enough to say for sure. There are also other floating islands seen in other games such as the City in the Sky from Twilight Princess and the Palace of Winds in the Minish Cap. However, neither of them match up anywhere near as close, so I'd say they are their own separate thing. Also because the fact they have their own lore explaining their origins. Plus, they're also probably much higher up, which is of interest and something I plan to explore at some point in the future. As for this mystery, if we were to rule out the Great Sky Island, it could also be that what remains of Skyloft could actually be bits of sky debris we see fall. There is a lot of it to be fair, so it isn't that out of the realms of possibility. Looking at where Skyloft was compared to the surface of that time, we can see it's bang in the middle. Desert off to the left, Eldin to the north, and Faron to the east. This does actually line up well with the surface seen in Tears of the Kingdom. I still feel the evidence is inconclusive, but it is a very interesting point to note. For now, this remains a mystery, but I don't doubt that more evidence, perspectives, and even theories on this will come with time. Perhaps a solid connection will be made, but right now, it's an interesting mystery. As mentioned in the intro, I've been curious as to what these little platforms found across the Sky Islands actually are. They are quite frequent on the Great Sky Island and don't really serve a purpose or function in the game itself. They're just part of the world. Often they'll have the remains of a construct, now rubble, sitting there, or a few pots. That felt nostalgic. You can practice your ascend abilities, I suppose, but there really ain't much going on. So what is the purpose of these? Well, if we take a look at what they appear to be, they resemble and seem to be inspired by Zen gardens, also known as rock gardens or Japanese dry gardens. From a bit of research, I found out that these are commonly found at temples or monasteries, usually made with gravel and rocks to form what looks like a landscape. Now, these aren't one for one, but it feels as though they are inspired by them, particularly with the patterns on the sandy, gravel-like ground. They often have these little tables as well, which makes me think that these might have served a purpose back in the day, back in the time frame that these islands are originally from. These dry gardens are used to aid meditation, so perhaps back in the day, in the prime of the Zonite people, that's exactly what these little shrines were for. I mean, they really fit the look. You might have noticed that constructs tend to the islands as well as protect them. You can also sometimes find the odd construct entering these little platforms. Maybe back in the day, they were the ones who tended to them, but in this day and age don't, due to the lack of visitors. I'll leave a link below if you want to learn more about dry gardens. Just keep in mind that it's just what I believe these little platforms are inspired by and were potentially used for. It isn't a fact, and this is a small, but yet a pretty interesting little mystery. The Dragonhead and Thunderhead Isles as a whole have intrigued me from the get-go, despite already having learned that they did previously serve as part of the Construct Factory operation, which you can find out by talking to the lonely construct atop the factory, as well as the main quest involvement. I can't help but feel there is more to this set of islands than just that. Appearance alone, they are super cool. From a top-down map perspective, the two locations make up the shape of a dragon. After re-exploring the area top to bottom, it just feels like there is a lot more here than just what would have been part of the factory operation. Similar vibes to the Great Sky Island. I say this because there appears to be a lot of building ruins and settlement vibes on top of the operation that would have been going on. I'll admit, this is a lot of feelings and vibes on my end. The mystery itself lies within how this place looked and operated back in the day. If I'm wrong, then fair enough, I can concede this one, but let me know down below if you get the same feeling. This place just has mysterious vibes and feels as though there is more to the story that we're not being told. Arguably the most intriguing Sky Islands from the trailers leading up to this game were the Death Star balls found throughout the sky map. In reality, they are very cool and interesting. Some contain shrines, others are just puzzles. I personally find them all really cool and enjoyable parts of exploring and figuring out the Sky Islands. However, there is one specific ball that intrigues me highly. Found right here on the map, the inner walls of this one give us a little textured detail that could have more than meets the eye to it. The puzzle here is entering on this lower level, and then ascending to the top in order to access the treasure. Now, look at the wall.
No, not your actual wall.
The wall within this ball. The bottom half has a design depicting the sun, lined up accurately with the entry point. A floor up, we can see the moon. So what exactly does this mean? I'm sure it's not a Pokemon Sun and Moon reference. That would be literally insane. It's the sort of subtle world detail that often just gets put down as a detail for the sake of detailing. However, as a seasoned Zelda tuber, I know the rules here. We gotta overthink this. Now, hear me out, but what comes to mind for me is that this might actually have been an ancient method the Zonai people used to tell the time. Think about it. It's an equal half and half ball. The hole pointing out could line up with where the sun is at throughout the day, to mark the time, with the moon half indicating where the moon is. Obviously, it's very fast when we find it, but perhaps back in the day, this was used for that. It's a guess. I'm not saying it's fact, and to be honest, it is a bit of a reach. If that's not the case, then what is? Why have the Zonai made these sun and moon designs on the inside of a rotating ball? Surely it's some sort of mechanism for something, right? For now, we cannot say, but it's very intriguing. The biggest mystery of them all when it comes to these magnificent sky islands on my mind at the moment is something I'm sure we have all thought about whilst exploring. Especially when trying to reach that one insanely high up island. You know the one. Or, if you don't, you know. The mystery in question regarding it being, do they go higher up than what we can see? It's a mystery in the sense that we simply cannot see higher up, so we simply cannot confirm or rule it out. The existence of this one annoyingly high island has me questioning this. There are certain areas of the sky map which are rather barren and empty. Could this be because there are actually islands there, they're just much higher up than what we can access at this moment in time. The thought of DLC for Tears of the Kingdom excites me, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if one pack was some sort of Sky Island expansion that takes us up even higher, revealing new islands with new puzzles, shrines, and ideally a true Sky Island themed dungeon. Regardless of if that does or doesn't happen, I cannot help but think, do they go higher? You'd think that there is possibly no limit. I mean, as long as you can breathe. And also, floating sky islands to begin with is a really crazy but cool idea in this large-scale open-air world. Why not keep it going? We've seen some very high up floating islands in the past, some that go much higher than these, such as the City in the Sky and the Palace of Winds. What's to say there isn't more higher up in this day and age of Hyrule, possibly the remains of some of those past ones? Well, this will definitely remain a mystery for a little while. However, if you want an answer, maybe we're best asking this character. She seemed to know what she was on about in Breath of the Wild. If you know, you know. Be sure to subscribe if you enjoyed indulging in these mysteries with me and are interested in watching more fabulous Zelda content from your local Scottish Zelda tuber. Drop a like down below and leave a comment with a mystery in Tears of the Kingdom that you find interesting. I love interacting with you guys and I can't wait to read them. Big shout out and thank you to all of my channel supporters for your amazing and very generous support of my content. If you'd like to become a channel supporter yourself and get some goodies such as a weekly behind the scenes update, shout out upon joining, and your name at the end of all of my videos, then check out the supporting links in the description. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, have a lovely day or night, and until the next time, I've been Hyrule Gamer.